Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody, depending on which coast you're joining us from. Thanks so much for logging in today for our webinar to discuss how an online marketplace can solve for surplus apparel during and post-COVID. My name is Christina Lopez, and I'm a Marketing Communications Manager at Vstock, and I'll be serving as moderator for today's discussion. Our webinar will be hosted by Director of Sales Nate Bride, who will be joined by Vstock's fashion marketplace expert Lisa Penn. They'll be discussing how a B2B marketplace works when it comes to brand control, higher pricing, velocity, auction strategy, buyer demand, data analysis, and sustainability. As we get into the webinar, please feel free to use the portal on your screen to send in questions via the Q&A tab on your toolbar. We'll be planning to do a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And with that, I'll hand it off to you, Nate.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone on the West Coast. This is Nate Bride coming live from Lafayette, California. And I'm also joined by my friend, colleague, and fashion expert, Lisa from Boston, Massachusetts, 3,000 miles away. We want to practice some social distancing, so kept as far away as possible. Lisa, how are you today?
Hi, Nate. I'm doing well here in Massachusetts. Thanks for asking.
So you ready to have some fun?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So we know that this has been a challenging time. And the current landscape, I'm sure all of us have been affected in one way or another. When we think about kind of looking at this from an apparel perspective, there are probably three things that jump out at us on the left-hand side, at least for me personally. The uncertainty of the primary channel, that first bullet here, with so many retail stores closing, obviously a lot has changed, a lot of adaptation had to happen. And that kind of closing of stores kind of hit that fourth bullet as well, with the disruption of the secondary market, where typical outlets and buyers are no longer available, which is truly backing up the supply chain. And that really landscape kind of the third bullet, or the final bullet really is the third kind of main point of the slide of the status quo has significantly changed. And it's changed forever. And we think about these upside down hangers that it truly is turned upside down, and we have to prepare it for kind of what could be happening next, but knowing it's not going to be like it has in the past. So I do want to do a kind of a quick level set for those who are not as familiar with Vstock and how our marketplaces work as we then enter the presentation and get Lisa's feedback and expertise. But at a high level, we are connecting sellers on the left-hand side. So we have clients such as Macy's, Nordstrom Rack, Gildan, who are selling their excess inventory. And we are helping connect them to, on the right-hand side, the buyers. So we have 500,000 plus business buyers across the globe in 134 countries that are interested and willing to spend money on this excess inventory in our auction system. And really the main point of this is, as you can see in the bottom line, is converting this excess inventory into cash, which is really even more important now. How that happens is a lot of data between inventory going from left to right and cash going from right to left that we capture and look at on an ongoing basis to help our customers and our prospects truly understand the best way of selling this inventory. And that's what Lisa does on a day-to-day basis with dozens of apparel brands to help them really in this focus on the secondary sales market. So what we have done is actually shared some of this data. So this is specifically looking at the apparel industry from our ecosystem and for the apparel categories and apparel sellers. The blue bar represents GMV, which is basically sales in our ecosystem from kind of mid-February to mid-May. And if you can see that the blue bars dipping strongly in April and then bouncing back up, we actually have seen a nice improvement, around 280% improvement from kind of the bottom in mid-April to the top, kind of the last session we've done. We're still not quite up to the pre-COVID-19 levels, but you do see a nice V-shaped recovery from a volume perspective in the blue bars. We also see from a blue line perspective, kind of a similar trajectory of down to April and then bouncing back up. We're probably still not exactly at the recovery, but we're up 80% from mid-April to mid-May, which is obviously another nice data point to do. So Lisa, I was actually looking at this graph and I know I have some questions for you, but the first thing I have to do is thank you for having this webinar in mid-May and not mid-April, because it's nice to see the lines going back up. But I know things change daily. I'd love to kind of get your feedback, what you're hearing and what you're seeing in the marketplace right now.
Sure, absolutely. So Nate, as you know, I review the business daily using various key performance metrics, which is even more critical now to understand the current trends. We all know that COVID-19 had a greater impact on apparel versus the essential categories, like grocery, appliances, electronics, and also home improvement. So Nate, I'm noticing that buyers are starting to feel more confident bidding on casual sportswear, denim, athleisure apparel, which has been trending all along, dresses, and of course swimwear now with the warmer weather. So our buyers are seeking the inventory that they can buy now and sell now, so their customers can wear now. And sellers are increasing inventory flow from about 1 to 5 pallet auctions all the way up to truckloads in various product conditions to meet the pent-up demand. So sellers are using our B2B marketplaces to address their excess inventory buildup in a timely manner, which is important.
Nice. So I know that the V shape going up and seeing some strength is great. We obviously know that there's some challenges that we're hearing about. I mean, I think we've had a dozen calls, I feel, in the last week or two with different apparel clients and prospects. There are, probably half dozen challenges on this page, and I know you're going to help address kind of a lot of these. I want to kind of highlight 3 that I feel I've heard the most pain with personally. And the first one is the brand dilution, which actually I was on a webinar yesterday, and I think it's even extended the brand dilution. It's almost brand control. The apparel industry has probably felt this for years. The analogy I heard yesterday that I want to share was, just think about 20 years ago when a professional photographer had a professional audience, was taking pictures, and that could control the brand image, to today where you have any kid with an iPhone in a picture, and that has as much brand control. So a lot has changed in 20 years, let alone kind of the challenges of kind of COVID-19. The second item on this list is I'm seeing the challenge of the reduction of buyers, where some of our clients and prospects may have just used 1 or 2 buyers traditionally to buy their excess inventory, and either they don't have the budget, they don't have the warehouse, or they just simply can't do it. They're not around anymore. That has been a significant challenge that I'm hearing. And then probably the final item on this page that we're hearing a lot about is truly the unknown. We don't know exactly when this is going to change, or what's going to change, or how it's going to change. And being okay with the unknown is probably the number one challenge that we have to deal with. Lisa obviously has some solutions to all these. That's why she's on the phone. But she actually already solved one solution. For the first time ever, I actually got a compliment during the COVID era on the shirt I'm wearing, and that was thanks to Lisa's recommendation. So Lisa, thank you for that. And now that you've solved my fashion problems, let's talk about some of the things of how you've helped companies overall solve their fashion apparel excess inventory challenges.
Right, and you're very welcome, by the way. So companies have been impacted many ways. Again, we're in unprecedented territory here. So I believe one way to soften the impact is by selling excess inventory to a diversified buyer base on a private online auction B2B marketplace. So let's talk about how online auction marketplaces work when it comes to brand control. And as you just stated, this is important for everybody because nobody wants to dilute their brand. We can talk about higher pricing, velocity, and again, velocity can shift based on your excess inventory levels. We'll talk about some effective auction strategies, buyer demand, data analysis, which is what I live by, and we'll go through some examples how I use it to maximize results. And Nate, you will lead the conversation with the importance of sustainability.
Cool. You ready to get started, Lisa?
Uh-huh.
Well, I know that like in our conversations, I'd say this always comes up first. So I'd love to hear kind of how we're helping companies on this brand control message that seems to be so prevalent in every call we have and probably every conversation you have for the past months, if not years.
Right. So as you just stated, brand control is number one. It is the most important aspect. And more companies now are stressing the importance to protect their brand equity, bar none. And channel control is important, especially for sensitive luxury brands. So one way to avoid channel conflict is by setting up specific buyer restrictions on your marketplace. So, Nate, from a client's perspective, there's an increase with the option to have all inventory delabeled prior to resale. For example, this is a strict requirement for Nordstrom Rack because they carry merchandise from notable luxury brands. And then we've got Wolverine. So the Wolverine marketplace decided, I would say about over a year ago, to exclude resale on third-party sites. So this is also gaining more interest to prevent diluting the brand. And establishing geographical limitations and requiring sellers who export, this will prevent inventory being resold close to their stores. So our heritage fashion marketplace Journeys, they require all buyers vetted through their detailed registration process to provide valid documentation that they are indeed exporters. And then we've got creating remarketing guidelines. That prevents diminishing the brand as well. So Macy's, for example, does not allow select brands to be marketed on the internet. So there's a lot of options that we have.
So you mentioned Journeys has a strict registration. That's our registration, correct? Or how does that work?
Right. So let me clarify. That's a good question. So for Journeys, buyers complete a questionnaire during the registration process. So we follow up with the buyers who can confirm that they are exporters with valid documentation with a courtesy call. So we're calling to learn more about their business. After that, we send the information to the Journeys team for review. So we complete a lot of those pre-registration actions to ensure that we're adhering to their requirements.
Gotcha. Well, I know what goes hand in hand with brand control is still the requirement of higher pricing. So I'm interested. Obviously, I've seen this slide before, but I really want to hear what's happening in that white space in the middle. Is that someone taking a siesta, or what's kind of happening in that graph on the right? So kind of interested to hear kind of exactly how we help with higher pricing.
Okay, so let me give you a few examples. So I balance brand control in many ways. One example is to state the delabeling requirements on those specific auctions so that buyers are aware prior to bidding. And then another example is to review the manifest that they provide us. I review that to select key brands based on the highest quantity and state those desired brands in the auction titles. So that'll track buyers because buyers love the brands. So utilizing strategic auction strategies, I ensure that our auctions are listed with the right cadence for our broad buyer base. And that's going to stimulate strong bidding activity, which will yield higher prices. So that increased competition through auctions means higher pricing, and it also drives velocity, creates a sense of urgency and excitement. So regarding that chart to the right, what it's showing you is the bidding activity from multiple buyers for an auction with a $100 start price, and it closed under 24 hours. So you'll notice that we had some buyers bidding in the early stages, and then on the closing day, we had the most bidding activity, and that ultimately the buyer won with a closing bid over 11,000. So in total, we had 12 active buyers with a total of 93 bids, but this is an auction that started at $100.
So I have a question. This auction was supposed to end at 3:30 or 4 o'clock on that day, or what happened kind of in that last, or I don't know, when was that auction supposed to end?
So it was right. So what happened, we had the buyers bidding. It was so frequent. I mean, it just kept going on and on. So it went past the closing time and went into the popcorn phase that we call at Vstock. So basically it continued bidding until the buyer who had the highest bid won, but that can extend to an hour plus. So that's the benefit of having multiple buyers bidding with a low start price. So it allows more people to compete.
Nice. And I know, so we've looked at higher pricing. Obviously, when they get higher pricing, people want more velocity. And you shared with me, and I think this was third-party data, that you're expecting a 25-30% increase in volume of excess inventory as we kind of move forward with the COVID-19 recovery. Can you talk a little bit about that and what velocity means?
Oh, sure. So we're definitely expecting more inventory. And again, with that surge in uptick in upcoming inventory, what I've done is partner with my clients to strategically create auction rounds based on some key considerations. So the brands and assortment mix is critical. So I am constantly balancing the inventory based on seasonality and also apparel versus non-apparel categories. Also the mix of conditions, we've got shelf pulls, customer returns, brand new, outlet, and also salvage. So again, Nate, by incorporating a mix of conditions for auction rounds, we're able to appeal to a larger group of buyers based on their assortment needs and business model. I'm also adjusting the auction pallet sizes. So I can post auctions 1 pallet up to multi-pallets and then even up to full truckloads. Again, the goal is to appeal to multiple buyers. Now, not every buyer has the warehouse space to hold a truckload of inventory. So the smaller pallet sizes are desirable for many buyers. And again, you also talk about timing for the auctions. So we're listing auctions that close in 24 hours, and then we also have auctions that close in 2 to 3 days. It all depends on the increased demand. And we had a marketplace posted pre-COVID-19, 8 auctions per week, right? Then we increased to 25 auctions per day. So that's a big, big pivot. So it takes effective merchandising strategies to properly balance the assortment. And also I need to monitor it daily so I know when to pivot and how to manage the increased inventory.
Okay, so that 8 per week, then to 25 per day, which is 120 per week. How quickly is that something that took you a week, a day, a month? How quickly were you able to pivot?
Oh no, I didn't have a month. So I had to get it right 24 hours. So, they recognized that they wanted to use Vstock and their marketplace to assist with moving their accumulation of inventory with the stores closed. So we were able, with the partnership of listings and QA, to process these auctions so that we went from 8 per day all the way up to 25 per day. So it's been successful.
Wow. Or 8 per week to 25 per day?
Yep.
Wow. So that probably lends nicely into, okay, how you kind of design the lots makes a difference and the auction strategy makes a difference. I'd love to, so when I think about this too, I know we've talked about A/B testing a lot. I'd love to hear, and it's hard to share what doesn't work, but I'd love to hear kind of different examples or why the same thing doesn't always work and kind of how you design auction strategies for each client, because it's never probably the same. Or
right.
Is it? I don't know.
No, I mean, it will shift per marketplace and per client. So a lot of times we want to make sure that we're adhering to our bstock proven strategy. So we have a consistent listing schedule, low start prices. We want to make sure that we're using effective merchandising strategies as it relates to the brands, the categories, seasonality. We need to understand layouts. So I would say of all those strategies, the one that's most important or most effective would be the low start pricing strategy. So the low start price strategy will get more buyers engaged from the start. And that allows more buyers to participate, driving up the bids and prices. So Nate, you know this, but the low start pricing strategy is not always a strategy that gains immediate approval from our clients.
Yeah.
Especially with the finance team, right?
Yeah.
So an effective process previously tested on a fashion marketplace, I'm going to respect their wishes and I'm going to list auctions with high start prices. But what I also did was include a few auctions with $100 start prices. So over time, the $100 start prices attracted more buyers. It had much higher bids and yielded higher sales that exceeded the auctions with the high start prices. So the data validated, and we're a data-driven company, that the low start price strategy is one of our most effective tools to maximize results. And let's face it, starting auctions with high start prices can automatically reduce the buyer base because that price could be outside of their price range. So many times, Nate, this has resulted in very low bids with the auction being sold. Either the auction was sold at that price or it was sold at a lower increase versus what it would have been if we would have started at $100.
Out of curiosity for that client, did that take weeks, months to convince them to move to all to $100? Or what did that process look like, just at a high level?
It took 5 months.
Okay.
Very, very strong finance team. But, month after month, I sprinkled in more 100. So I increased the ratio from the higher start prices, and I included more low start prices, the $100, until eventually the client's like, look, the proof is in the pudding. We see the results. Let's just go full $100 start prices. And they never look back.
Great. Awesome. Sorry about the 5 months. I will
Yeah,
do
no.
got to do a better job in the sales cycle on that. That's not on you.
Help us out, no.
So the question that we get a lot too on the buyer demand is like, who is buying this? Is this, what type of people are on your network, especially in the apparel industry? I see the growth, but love to understand a little bit more about who truly are the buyers in this network.
Sure. So, the demand for product from secondary market buyers exists constantly, always in demand. And the demographics of our Vstock apparel buyers include online sellers, includes exporters, resale shops, and discount store owners. So their business models are not the same, and their assortment needs vary based on the customer base. So not one size fits all. So that really is the makeup of our apparel buyers.
Have you seen anything change? Any of them grow in probably demand in the last couple of months?
Oh yeah, well, I would say definitely online sellers. There's a surge there because they didn't have to close their doors. So that would be the category. Yeah.
Okay. Are they higher, or is it proportionally higher, or are the other ones lower, or kind of a combination of both?
It's a combination of both.
Okay. So I know like how much you love Excel, and how much you do the data analysis, how much time you spend on it. Again, I'd love to kind of hear how you help clients think about, this is how we're going to look at the data, and this is how we think we can help you improve your recovery.
Right.
Which is, I think, kind of the advanced version of $100 start prices. Now let's get into some cool stuff. I'd love to walk through a couple of different examples of where you've done this.
No, absolutely. So, data analysis, I am very passionate about it, and it really is the keys to our success. And I utilize it to maximize results. So as you know, I am constantly reviewing the data, and I review it in so many different ways. So I review it by brand, pallet sizes, the assortment, seasonality. Apparel versus non-apparel is also very important, product conditions, and even by location. So, I definitely want to know what buyers are bidding on all the way from, the Northeast to the West Coast. And it's also critical that we speak with our buyers, right? So we want to have that regular dialogue to understand their assortment needs. And I also want to hear if we have gaps, are they looking for assortment that we actually are not posting, which is why they have reduced bidding activity. So there's a lot of data analysis there. And we use our findings to provide feedback to our clients. So we want to help them understand their performance as it relates to sales and recovery rates. So last year we did a test, right, for a fashion site. It was a swimwear event. So we did a soft test, I think 12 auctions in May, and that yielded strong results. Well, lo and behold, they had additional job out inventory in late June, and they wanted to do another event. And at first I thought, a little too late. But the facility was based in Florida, so we felt it would be low risk based on the demographics. So the event was even stronger than the test in May, and it really helped them move through their excess inventory with positive recovery. So based on these results, we're already planning a swimwear event next month, because they have excess inventory with the stores being closed. So they understand the analysis and they respect us sharing it with them. And we're constantly working on strategic initiatives to drive the business. And thank you for giving me kudos for Excel, but I must be honest and let you know that I use Tableau every day. And our Tableau is the end all be all. So I do a lot. I look at Tableau every morning to understand where the business is. I look at the recovery, the bidding activity, the buyers. So the benefit is that our clients also have access to our Tableau data, so they can review the business as well.
Lisa, are there any truth to the rumor that even during this webinar, you're multitasking, you have Tableau open, looking at different analysis?
I looked at it before. I was looking at it before we started. Truth.
Okay. So I love sustainability. I've
Yeah.
been talking about it internally for a while, and think about what we bstock can do as employees, as a company, as an ecosystem. And I feel like this is becoming just more and more important. And I know you had forwarded me that article earlier in the week
Yeah, from
about
Women's Daily. Yeah.
the like what Europe is looking at recovery and having green recovery just be part of the recovery, which I think is fascinating. And that's something that I wish figure out how we can be even more a part of it. From the audience perspective, there's data that we pulled, and this is through 2019. But we looked at all the auctions that we sold in 2019 and realized that totaled an aggregate 400 million pounds of merchandise sold and kind of kept in the economy and potentially out of landfill. And that's a lot of weight. That's 29 Eiffel Towers. From a unit count perspective, it's basically every citizen in Spain we were able to give an article of clothing to, 50 million units. From a home and garden perspective, filling up Madison Square Garden almost 400 times. What I think is interesting, and from that article too, that final item, when we looked and analyzed the data, yes, we'd love to take credit for every single item that we sold on our marketplace, but that might be not truly what we've rented from landfill. We know for a fact that there are 5 million pieces that would have definitely been destroyed, and the brands obviously wouldn't want to be chatting about it, or put in a landfill, that we prevented that from happening. And that's something where the article really states we really need consistent, agreeable, transparent metrics on the sustainability to make sure we're all talking about the same thing. Because we truly have the opportunity of keeping of everything alive, per se, in this green economy that now is, I think, the perfect time of any of let's all get this in together and get behind it. What are your thoughts, Lisa?
Sounds great.
Are you all in? Are you all
All
in?
in.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me get on my soapbox for a little bit.
No, it's important. So
Yeah, it is important. So we talked about a lot of different elements and takeaways. As the audience thinks about questions that they may want to ask, I wanted, Lisa, and I'll ask you in a second, but my one takeaway of all these things, if I had to focus just on one thing, and this is what I'm hearing from my conversations with clients and prospects, is that need that bstock provides from a diverse buyer-based perspective, where they were previously using 1 to 3. They may have been happy with those people, but they can't buy anywhere. They don't have the funds. They might not even be in business. They don't have the storage. But diversifying buyers across the thousands of buyers is really, really, really exactly what they want to diversify their risk, and also make them successful in moving this product in a quick and efficient manner. So that's my number one takeaway, I'd say. I'd love to get your thoughts on what you think your number one take, or what is your number one takeaway?
Right. So all of the takeaways are important, right? But for me personally, the biggest takeaway is the fact that an online marketplace solution can yield higher prices, right? And I think it's important for people to understand that we can assist with the shifts in velocity. So you may have excess inventory every month, or you may have it quarterly, or you may just have excess inventory at the end of the season, based on your markdown cadence. And again, I can't state this enough. Like, we understand the importance of brand control, and we definitely take a lot of strides in protecting brand value for our clients. So that's my takeaway.
Great. So Lisa, I have a question for you, maybe two. So, and actually, if you have images on the left-hand side, right now, if you had to pick one of these images to say, this is what I'd recommend selling on bstock, which would it be and why?
Oh, without a doubt, it would be denim, without a question. So denim is, I would say, pretty much season agnostic. So people wear denim all year round, and although we have success in some of those other categories, I would say denim is the one that's yielding the highest bids and attracts lots of buyers because they want it right away. So, and they can wear it. So.
Okay. So Lisa, I remember we literally had a webinar on this 5 months ago. In October, God, everything's blending together. October last year, and I asked you this exact question, and you actually gave me a different answer. You'd said the purple handbag.
Right.
So
oh my goodness, I do remember this. Okay, so changes, right? As we talk about how the industry has changed. So yeah, handbags is definitely a key category for us, right? High recovery, high sales. But let's think about it from the end use. With restaurants being closed and, things are starting to reopen, yeah, you can have a designer handbag, but where are you going to go? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think denim is just a no-brainer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. That's why you dress me. So that concludes what we'd like to share. Obviously, we want to open up for question and answers, and Christina can take over that. We can answer, hopefully, between Lisa and I, we can get some good answers for you. If we don't have time for it, we're happy to just respond one-on-one or share with the group as well. So I'll hand it back over to Christina for some questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys, for that great discussion. With that, let's go ahead and kick off our Q&A. And I have a couple of them here. Let's start with number one. How do I control who I sell to?
Oh, I can take this one. So
Okay.
you can use any of our buyer restrictions options to control who sells your inventory. So, for example, you can have buyers who export only, and we can also exclude buyers who resell on third parties, or delabeling merchandise, which again, this is a growing interest for many people.
I agree.
Yeah, delabeling is important.
Thank you so much for that answer, Lisa. Let's go ahead and get into another question that we have here. How quickly can I turn inventory into cash?
Great. So Lisa, do you want that? Or you want me to take that?
You can take that, Nate.
Okay. So how quickly? It's a two-part question. Quickly is the short answer. A long answer, for a new client, obviously there's a setup. So there's a 30-day implementation. So once you're set up after the 30-day implementation, most transactions you're posting online. It's 24 to 48 hour auction typically. Payment is required within 48 hours after that. And then typically within a week, shipment happens. So think about your posting an auction to receiving cash kind of in the 2-week time frame, probably 10 to 14 days once you're set up in the system.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Nate.
Yep.
Here's another one. What if I don't have a manifest?
Oh, okay.
Lisa, that's all you, Lisa.
Okay. So we do list auctions in salvage condition, or it could also be damaged. Usually we have limited details as it relates to the assortment if it's salvage, we don't have product details, UPC, etc. But we do show pallet images. So clients would prefer to list salvage than throwing it away. But I do want to mention that we provide manifesting services to maximize a client's recovery and also lower their costs. So if they don't have a manifest, we can provide that service for them.
Yeah, and actually, I want to just quickly add to that of hearing this more, the manifest services is something that we offer, but also people might have run out of space at a warehouse. People might want to consolidate it. We actually have a kind of full service of, hey, we can help you take your inventory wherever it is. We can help sort it. We can help delabel it, and we can help get it to the buyers as part of our value-added services that we offer from Vstock.
Excellent. Thank you both so much. Here's another one. What can I expect when launching in terms of time, process, etc.?
Lisa, I can handle the first part. You might have some color to add to this.
Sure.
So for a new client, typically the implementation is 30 days long. That's how long it takes. There are probably 12 key items that have to happen. They're pretty straight deliverables. For as simple as getting a logo together to agreeing on the name. For the amount of effort, you're thinking about hours per week to get this up and running. It probably really depends the most on how much agreement do you have internally from a marketing perspective on what this brand image should look like? How much agreement do you have from a legal perspective on what your terms of purchase you want to be in your buyers? And from an operational perspective, how comfortable are you with this $100 start price? And that can fluctuate the implementation from between 15 and 30 days. Lisa, I don't know if there's anything there on the the manifest.
I'll just add that what we could do is leverage our best practices to assist with providing sorting guidance, to providing the best details, for manifest on the front end, so the buyers have a lot of visibility of what's in the pallet. And what we also do is we constantly, again, analyze the business. So after each round, we provide, a recap of the performance, and we will pivot or shift based on the results. So we have a lot of knowledge about best practices to help them throughout the launch.
Yeah, actually, it's a good point. Thanks for mentioning a couple of things. I guess if we think about this, what we're trying to do is most clients, before they were working with Bstock, they had an Excel file that they're emailing out to 3 to 5 people who may not. Now, really what we're saying is, you know what, instead of emailing it to those 3 or 5 liquidators, you can email that file to Lisa. You don't want to email it to me, email it to Lisa. And we're basically doing all the work after that. We can help you sort it. We can help you organize. We can make it look pretty, pick the pictures out. We can help with organizing with the shipping, kind of everything, so that you can basically focus on, as a client, validating our recommendations, looking at the data, and really holding us to it for improved recovery, improved efficiency, and improved volume flow. Like, we're trying to kind of align to your goals and make this as simple as possible for you on an ongoing basis.
Exactly. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you so much, guys, for that response. Here is another question that we have. If I have my own buyers, can I move them to the Bstock platform?
Lisa, do you want that, or do you want me to take that?
Take it.
So the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
The longer answer is it's not a requirement. We have, probably 50-50 of clients wanting to bring their buyers in. They can be focused on just your site, obviously. And we help clients with that. We have clients who are leveraging and working with Bstock because we have access to business buyers. So it's definitely a hybrid. The one thing I'd add is the more buyers you have, the better off your recovery is. So if you can, we do recommend, bring your buyers. It's just going to help you in your recovery.
Okay, fantastic. And then we have one final question, it looks like, and this is pretty relevant, especially given, the COVID environment. Everything is pointing to things leveling out, but will buyers be ready to purchase the inventory?
So my feedback is I am confident that buyers are ready to increase buying based on the uptick in bidding trends that I'm seeing, right? Especially for apparel now with the spring summer assortment. So I think that the buyers want to get their business back on track, which will help everyone. And we have plethora of categories to assist them with their needs. So I'm confident they're ready to buy.
So Lisa, I have a final question for you. So, and I think I know the answer to this. So first of all, and Christina, are there other questions, or I think we might be?
No, I think we're all set. Those are the questions that we received.
So I do have a question for you, but first of all, for folks on the phone, if you'd like to reach out to us directly, Lisa at Bstock or Nate at bstock.com to help you out. I've been kind of I've been shelter in place for now. I'm on week 11. I know that you've been kind of similar time frame in Boston. So when all this is over, when it's lifted, and I think I'm right. I think I bet some money that I'm going to be right. Where are you going to go travel to?
My favorite country in the world, Ireland.
Nice.
Was that what you were thinking?
Nice. So I was going to guess Dublin, so I feel good about I'm in the right country. Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Dublin.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Awesome. Well, Lisa, thank you for your time today and sharing this experience. And audience, thank you for your participation. And Christina, thank you for moderating. And
thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for leading that discussion. And I hope that Lisa gets to go to Ireland sooner than later.
Me too.
With that, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We're going to be sending out a copy of the presentation tomorrow, and please don't hesitate to reach out to Lisa or Nate if you have any additional questions. Everybody stay well. Thank you so much.
Stay healthy. Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.